It has been nearly 8 years since the Nintendo Switch launched, and we are eagerly awaiting news on the next Nintendo console. That being said, this would be the perfect time to reflect back on what games made the system so great. So in this video, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 Nintendo Switch games. There's going to be a few rules to this list. Starting off, I'm going to have only one main game and one spin-off per franchise, just to make sure we mix it up. And we're going to have an honorable mention section before we get to number 1. And if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know your favorite games on the Nintendo Switch in the comment section below so we can have some fun discussion. Alright, so let's get right into it with number 10. Starting off this list, we're going to be talking about Pokemon Unite. Pokemon Unite is a brand new spin-off for the Pokemon series. It's a MOBA game, which is a genre I never got into before this, but you slap Pokemon on it and I'm going to come run it. But seriously, Pokemon Unite is a lot of fun, and I feel like it is a really good introduction to the genre without being too complicated or aggressively competitive, depending who you ask. And with a huge roster and growing of some of my favorite Pokemon, with a variety of roles to play, there's always something unique and new to come back to see how they interpret the new Pokemon into this type of game. And on a personal note, Pokemon Unite has been a pretty important game for me because it's one of the last big games that me and my brother, he has moved out and been making a lot of life changes. I'm very happy for him. But Pokemon Unite is one of those games that we always have something to talk about, whether it's the new characters being added or just a funny moment that happened. And it's one of those games that we can always hop right back in to do a quick game in between all the things we got going on in life. So yeah, Pokemon Unite. Pretty good. Number 9. Coming in at number 9, we got Pikmin 4. Pikmin is one of those series that I've really fallen into the Nintendo Switch effect of it all, where it's one of those series I would have never played and I had no interest in until it came out on the Nintendo Switch, and now I have all of the games because they re-released them on the Switch. Pikmin 4, it just had so much hype around it from the people on the internet that I would watch and see talk about it, so I finally caved in and got it, and I loved it. It's made me a huge Pikmin fan. I love the little guys. Flying over to number 8. If you would have asked me what my favorite Nintendo Switch game was back in 2020, Animal Crossing New Horizons would have been the top, no questions asked. I still love this game, and for a lot of personal reasons that I will get into, but it kind of fell off a little bit. Animal Crossing New Horizons was my first Animal Crossing game, and it has really got me into the franchise. I've now gone back and played New Leaf and the one on the GameCube, and even Amiibo Festival. And I just love the characters. Tom Nook, Isabelle, your villager, Shatter, all the homies. They're all so great. And just having this relaxing world to escape to was such an important part of 2020 for me and so many other people. It's just, there's nothing like that first 2-3 months of Animal Crossing where everybody was out of work or out of school and we just played Animal Crossing. Me, my brother, my friends. We all just talked. I met a bunch of people through playing Animal Crossing, whether it be on Twitch or TikTok. Animal Crossing New Horizons was an experience, and I feel like my view of the game is so shifted because of the time it came out and the moments with it and the people. And I have such a nostalgic for it. I think, going forward, it's going to be one of my most nostalgic games ever. But if I were to line it up with every other game that's coming out on the Nintendo Switch and hold it up on its own merits, it's fun and it's cute and I love it. But I think there's just games that are better than it. I will never forget my time on Kokomo. I loved doing the holidays for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and New Year's, and Festival. It was all just so fun to come back to. And creating all the different types of areas you could have on your island and doing custom designs. I really do love Animal Crossing New Horizons, but I feel like if I didn't play it when I did and get so into it when I did, I don't know if I would love it as much. Now it's time to get a little controversial. Number 7, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, there was a lot of controversy about this game and Pokemon as a whole on the Nintendo Switch, and I really was torn on which Pokemon game I wanted to pick. I like every Pokemon game that came on the Switch in some capacity for some reason, but Pokemon Sword, for me personally, just hits all the right numbers. From the Pokemon designs to the unique characters that you meet throughout your story, I just love them. The music was so good. The DLC going through the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra was really neat. The multiplayer shiny hunting and Dynamax Adventures is still one of the best multiplayer things Pokemon's ever done. And when that game first came out, and just playing with my brother on the 2 separate TVs and doing Dynamax battles together and grinding up rare candies and all the other items you were getting to build your team up and doing some competitive battles with it. And then this is also the game that really got me into making content on Twitch and TikTok and YouTube again, was shiny hunting in Sword and Shield, doing the eggs and doing the Dynamax Adventures. And I've met a whole bunch of really cool people through that. So it's just personal reasons. And I mean, it's me. Pokemon's got to be on here somewhere. So it's got to go with Pokemon Sword for me. And Shield, technically. Coming in at number 6, we have Super Mario Odyssey. Now, this game is a fantastic platformer that brings Mario Adventures into a new and imaginative world, such as like the Luncheon Kingdom and the Cap Kingdom and New Donk City. And I love the levels, and I love Mario's movement in that game. I mean, being able to jump around and do all the flips and tricks with Cappy. And the speed runs of this game are amazing to watch. The music is so catchy. I listened to Jump Up Superstar like almost daily when that game first came out. I really do love the capture mechanic, being able to take over an enemy. It just had so many creative ways it was used. Super Mario Odyssey is one of the most fun games that you're going to have on the Nintendo Switch. We're now at the halfway point with number 5. Racing in at the number 5 spot is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, what can be said about Mario Kart 8 that hasn't already been said? The game is just endless fun. That's the only way I can describe it. This game came out back in 2014, and now we are in 2024, and still play it very consistently. Back on the Wii U, it was one of the main reasons they have a Wii U. And then with the Battle Course Pass, where they added all these DLC tracks throughout the Switch's life in the last like 2 years, it added like almost an entire game's worth more of tracks to play. A lot of them are coming over from Tour, which is a game I didn't really play much on mobile, so this almost like so many brand new tracks. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just one of those games that you could just play with anybody. They don't need to know how video games work. You hand them a controller and you say, let's drive the car, and they will understand. It's the perfect casual party game experience with family. And I remember just all the nights of playing with people on Twitch or with friends on Discord, and even playing with random strangers with the Nintendo Switch Online app and having really weird conversations with that. It was just, Mario Kart 8 was such a good time for so long, and it's got to be in the top 10. Now, moving on to number 4. Up next, we have The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, Tears of the Kingdom is another one of those games. What can still be said that hasn't been said already? You take Breath of the Wild, that was already one of the most influential games of the last decade, and just add more to it. The ability to fuse things and ascend through walls and build vehicles to explore. It was just crazy. It was mind-blowing. Every time you go to a new puzzle, and the first thing I think of is, how can I break this? How can I do this in a unique way that was not intended? It was so fun to do. The boss fights were pretty fun. The wind one, the theme that plays during that wind fight is so great. The music overall is really good. The whole quest of saving Zelda was really well done and made a lot of people emotional. This is also another one of those series that I always knew about, never really played too much. I would watch my cousins play. I've never played a Zelda game until Breath of the Wild, and now I have gone back and I've played Ocarina of Time, and I want to go back and play the rest of them because it's just, I'm in love with the world now. You had one really good game on the Nintendo Switch, you hooked me in, and now I want to go back and relive and learn all these stuff that I've missed out in the past. Up next, we have number 3. In third place, we got Fire Emblem Three Houses. This is another one of those games that just came out at the perfect time and really got its hooks into me. Fire Emblem Three Houses has multiple paths you can take to get different stories, and it just, I was so invested in the characters, in the world, and the lore it was setting up. The battles themselves were really fun and strategic. It made me feel like I was super smart. And the character interactions, where you can learn more about your units and then they would fight better together. I just love that whole system. So overall, in my opinion, Fire Emblem Three Houses is an absolute must-play for fans of strategy or character-driven narratives. So it deserves the very convenient place on this list at number 3. And up next, we have number 2. Second place goes to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Where do I even start with Smash Ultimate? It's Smash Ultimate. What more can I say? It is the ultimate Smash. It is the biggest roster we've ever had in a Smash game. I think it's the most fun gameplay-wise we ever had in a Smash game. That's going to be controversial for some people. Just taking back to the reveal trailer, the Everyone is Here, was one of the biggest gaming memories I will ever have, I think. I don't think, and there's very little that can top that. When Joker got announced as DLC during the Game Awards, and being with my friends, and we were in the back of a car when that was happening, and just seeing everyone jump around, the reactions were crazy. It's just the countless amount of nights playing Smash with my brother and friends, and then people with online. It's just, Smash Bros. Ultimate is just one of those special games that I don't know if we're ever going to top in terms of scope and hype and build up. I mean, I have no idea what they're going to do next. It's not perfect. I wish the story mode was a little more in-depth. You have all these characters and you could do something with them, and they just really didn't do a lot with them. I do love the spirit battles. I think they were neat, they were creative, but I really wish the story mode kind of held up on its own a little bit. But that's like my only real criticism, is the single player wasn't that great. But multiplayer, the characters, the roster, the music library is insane. The amiibos is really fun for me to collect, and that is why it gets second place. Now let's get into the honorable mentions. Splatoon 2 and 3. I love Splatoon, which is crazy to me to think that neither 2 or 3 ended up on a top 10 list. It just goes to show you how much great games was on the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon Legends Arceus, just the way it changed the formula up and made shiny hunting such a fun time. The story was interesting, and that boss fight at the end against Valo is one of the most memorable boss fights for any Pokemon game, and I really did love it, but just not enough to me in top 10. I want to give a shout out to Mario Maker 2. It's one of those games that I loved playing other people's levels and playing my friends' worlds, but I never got that into building levels myself compared to the first game. They had the ability to connect your levels and make worlds. That was something great. I think that was one of the best updates they could have done. And slopes. Gotta love the slopes. Game Builder Garage is one of those very slept-on games that I don't think a lot of people are ever going to talk about. I just want to point out how neat of an idea that was, to basically make a game maker that kind of taught you how programming worked in a cute Nintendo child-friendly way. I was really into it for a little bit. Never got anywhere smart enough to make anything cool with it, but I did love that. I love when Nintendo is weird and does things that you don't expect. And following up with that, Labo. I think Labo was such a unique, memorable, fun idea. I did build the robot at some point, and I built the car wheel with some friends. And I think if that came out as something that when I was a kid, I would have been so into it. It would have been such a great time. And even with the little time I did have with them, they were such fun. And I'm kind of disappointed they dropped it, but I'm not surprised. I love when Nintendo does innovative and weird things, and Labo is like the peak weird thing Nintendo's done. I love it. Continue on with weird stuff Nintendo did during the Switch's life cycle. I'm going to talk about Ring Fit Adventure. I think Ring Fit Adventure is great. If there was 11 slots on this top 10 list, it would be there at number 11. I really do love Ring Fit Adventure. It was such a unique idea of having an RPG story with your attacks or your exercises, and it was such a fun, unique way to stay motivated to exercise. And it's hard. That game is hard. It will kick your butt. Snipper Clips is one of the launch games for the Nintendo Switch, and when the Switch first came out, that was one of those games where that was like the thing. You took your Switch out, you took the controllers apart, you handed one to your friend, and you started solving little puzzles, and it just clicked. That was when I wanted to show people off the Switch when I first got it. Snipper Clips was the game to bring out, and people just loved it. I loved Snipper Clips for the first few months, and the characters were so cute and such a memorable part of the early Switch life. ARMS. I loved ARMS. I thought it was such a fun time, and I knew I was probably better at the game if I used button controls, but I did not care. I wanted to use the Joy-Cons. I wanted to be punching and ducking and weaving and diving. It was such a fun time playing that online, especially during the test periods when everybody was playing it. And the character design and the music and it's just everything about ARMS was so great, and I really hope it's not dead on arrival. I hope they make it ARMS 2 at some point. The Nintendo Switch had so many remasters and remakes, and I really want to call out Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. There was so much hype on the internet for this game. I did not think it was ever going to be able to live up to how great everyone said it would be. I have not finished it yet. I'm about halfway through the game, but I have been really enjoying it, so I just want to make sure we mentioned that in here. Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is so great. They changed the speed for Mario's 3D World. They added online play so you could play with friends online, which is crazy. It's really the only good Mario game that runs online. Looking at you, Mario Maker. Bowser's Fury was short, but was a lot of fun. It gave us that crazy Godzilla monster Bowser that is one of the hypest things Nintendo's ever made. And then Super Saiyan Mario, and that was just a collection. You got both those things at once. And I also want to shout out to Captain Toad. I've been playing through it, 100%ing it, and it's such a fun, clever game to go through, and Captain Toad and Toadette are adorable, lovable little guys. Tetris 99. I think Tetris 99 is one of the best ideas for a video game in general. Battle Royale puzzle games. That's such a fun idea. I would love for them to do more with like Puyo Puyo or Panel de Pon, but Tetris 99 was so great. It got my mom playing Switch with me all the time during Corona. We would come down every night and do a little bit of Tetris, and then we would be able to knock out levels and get different themes. It was always fun to come down and try to get the 100 points to unlock the new theme, because they were using them to promote other Nintendo Switch games. That was such a fun thing, and it really added value to the Nintendo Switch Online that has become such a vital point of Nintendo Switch throughout the years. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this is probably one of the biggest honorable mentions I can give. It basically was the launch game for the Nintendo Switch that helped it skyrocket its success straight from the start. There was so much build-up for this game. It felt like such a monumental moment, from the E3 being entirely decked out with Breath of the Wild stuff, and then the trailer that played during the Nintendo Switch presentation. You know the trailer I'm talking about. Still get chills watching that. It's one of my favorite trailers ever. And after hundreds of hours exploring Hyrule and Breath of the Wild, I can easily say that I think this is probably the best game that could have launched with the Switch to really set them up for such success. And finally, let's get into Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I could go on tangents for so long about these two games, but I'll keep it short and just say I love the characters, I love the world, I love the battle systems from all the games, including the changes that were made in Torna and Future Connected. The Xenoblade world is just so massive and deep with its storytelling, characters, its incredible music. The worlds that they've built have been so immersive, and the stories they tell really changed the way I think about a lot of things in my life. It sounds dramatic, but it's just one of those stories that really has hit me so hard in so many ways. And the more I've replayed it, and the further I've gotten into the side story and the lore and the influences on where these character designs and stories have come from, I get deeper and deeper pulled into it, and I appreciate it so much more. And with all that said, now we can move on to number one, which it wasn't obvious for me is going to be Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I have not been hit more emotionally than that 2-hour long cutscene at the end of Chapter 5, spoilers. I really did fall in love with the main cast of Xenoblade 3. They had really fun personalities, and they really worked off each other well. And the amazing work with their voice actors just really made these characters come to life. I also want to talk about Xenoblade 3's tutorials, which sounds really weird to talk about in a top 10 video, but compared to Xenoblade 2 and even 1, I was a little confused in the battle system, and maybe just because I played 3 as the last one, but there's so much more going on in 3's battle system. It felt like you have so many more characters, and you're switching between characters, and your attacks from certain regions, and you can add abilities and changing classes. There was so much to the battle system that made it so unique and almost a little too overly complicated. If you look at everything going on the screen at once, it can be really overwhelming, but I feel like the tutorials in 3 really broke it down and made it very understandable. I really do love the battle system in 3, and it really made me want to go after those super bosses in the post-game. And the way it wraps up the Cloud Saga, everything from Xenoblade 1 to now Xenoblade 3 with Future Redeemed, it just really wraps up and leaves it open for more stuff to come in the future, which is really exciting as a Xenoblade fan. In the music, I could gush for hours about the music. With all that said, we now move on to a new, brighter future as we look towards the Nintendo Switch successor. And I hope you liked my list. Be sure to let me know yours in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell notification, you know how it all works. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.